All right, take two. Good evening, Facebook family. Mike Phillips here, tuning into the Auto Fam, and for Facebook Live Day 19. Tonight I am speaking about training on training. So I'm going to give it a few minutes for people to pop into the room and so forth. I'll give it, I don't know, minute and a half, 2 minutes, because I know for most people, if you're busy and extremely busy and so forth, you don't have all night to sit around and watch on Facebook. You know, Jared especially, I hope he tunes in and is watching, because apparently he and I are planning a new sitcom, Midnights, what did I say? Midnight with Mike, or Just After Jared, right? That sounds like a sitcom, and we can have special guest stars and it'll be all kinds of fun. So anyway, yeah, I posted earlier on that, and it's like, well, Midnight with Mike, what would we talk about? We could make it like a roast for people in the auto industry. I don't know if I have the sort of clout to be able to do that yet, but it'd be a lot of fun, because, or at least for the people that we know, right? So tonight's topic, I want to talk about training on training. So how are you setting up a training session? And for me, if anybody has watched my recent Facebook Live videos, for me, I am definitely a planner. I'm a definition guy. I'm a planner. I set everything up and go, okay, what am I going to do? You know, I jumped into this Facebook Live challenge now 19 days ago. And at about day 10, I had a few people ask me or challenge me and say, hey, I'd like to hear your opinion on this subject, or talk about that subject and so forth. And I said, okay. So within a few days, I decided, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to plan out so that I can add some value in these training sessions. And that's just part of kind of who I am. If you know me, that's part of who I am, and that's how I wanted to set it up. So I said, okay. So I planned out my next 20 days of what am I going to be talking about on my Facebook Live sessions. And some of them are just, hey, I'm going to talk about my day. I've got a day planned in there later for when the kids get out of school. My son Colin's watching, so maybe I'll interview him. It's like, hey, what are you going to do when you get out of school, and what are you excited about? So some of those can be a whole lot of fun, but there's also a lot of, I think if you're setting something up, there's an opportunity here in Facebook Live. Jason said it last night. There's an opportunity for people to really put out there who they are and to be able to add some value to other people. So one of the people I tagged special tonight, and I hope at some point, I don't know if he has the opportunity to watch right now because I tagged him last minute, is my friend Sean. He and I are doppelgangers. I'm Michael Sean. He's Sean Michael. We have similar birthdays, everything else. So it's anyway, he and I have been friends for a long time. And I absolutely love to hear him speak and train and add value to other people. And so I hope that he's got an opportunity at some point to either pop in live and watch it, or pop in after the fact and watch it. So here we go. Facebook Live Day 19. What we're talking about, training on training. And what I mean by that is I am sharing my opinion and my training tonight on how to set up a successful training session for your people. So this will be a lot for the business people, the sales managers, people that are team leads, that are in charge of an area, that want to set up a good quality training session and add value to their team. And keep in mind, like I've said before, this is my opinion. Is it 100% right? In my opinion, it is. And I'm saying that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, obviously. So training on training. The first thing you got to do when you're training on something, in my opinion, you need to train on things that you know. You need to train on things that you know how to do. You need to train on things that you are successful at, or that many people would consider you an expert at. And what I mean by that is when you're setting up that training session, if it's something that you're not real strong suited for, then maybe bring in somebody else that is. You know, that's why in the auto industry, that's why we have so many trainers and experts in different areas, is because there are people that are experts in certain areas, and you can bring those people in to train your team and be really excellent at something. So the first thing that I would say is, one, you need to train on what you know. And if you don't know, find somebody that does and get them in there so that they can help elevate your game. They can help elevate your team. They can help elevate all the people around you. My son's watching, Andy's texting me at the same time because he thinks maybe I'll miss the text, right? So No, I'll read it afterwards, son. Don't worry. So the first step when you're setting up training, in my opinion, you have to train on what you know and what you're excellent at. And one of the things, even if you're good at it, good, not great, but if you're good at it, you can train on it. And as you train on something, you'll improve, you'll get better. Why? Because hopefully you'll research it, you'll spend the time to learn about it, you will invest yourself in it so that you can add value to others, because nobody wants to look like a dummy, right? No one wants to look like they don't know what they're doing. So my opinion is, first, train on things that you're good at or better, or find somebody that is good or great or better at something that, you know, the item, the topic that you're training on. The second thing you got to do, number two, I like using my fingers a lot because that way it gets my hands into it, right? Also, can someone give me a thumbs up? Can you guys hear me okay? I've got my little lapel mic on. I want to make sure you guys can hear okay. So give me a couple thumbs up if you can hear. Not because I'm trying to pump the thumbs up, but because I really want to know that you can hear me okay. So, all right, there they are. Thanks, guys. So, number one, train on topics that you're good at or better or great at. The second thing that I think you need to do is you need to plan. And so often people that are put in positions of leadership, the team leaders, the sales managers, the store managers, people that are in positions of leadership go, well, I can just attack this. Why? Because I know it, right? I can just go in and talk about it. And we talk about the quote unquote good old days. And we feel often, or people that have been in the business, when I say we, it's anybody that's been in the business that they're training on, thinks, well, I can go in and I can talk about this stuff, and by them listening to what used to happen to me in the good old days, it's that transference, and then they'll just know, right? I mean, that's just going to happen. And in my opinion, that doesn't necessarily work. You need to plan a training session. You need to at least have a topic, you know, have a couple of one-liners, 1, 2, 3, 4 conversation starters, so that when you're going in to train, you're speaking on those 1 or 2 or 3 things that people have the opportunity to retain. Now, keep in mind, psychologically too, when you are training somebody, when you're training anybody, psychologically, the way that the human brain learns in sets of 3, right? So, I mean, they train marketing companies, they train all kinds of people on how to market and how to connect with people and how to click it in their brain. And it's always trained in sets of 3, right? Hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet, Mike Davenport, right? You know that, right? They always pitch those 3 things: Coke, red, white, and you, right? And I'm not pitching anything per se. All I'm saying is, when they're teaching that marketing, they teach it and how to connect with people's brains in 3. So that's the other thing, is I would encourage you, when you are training, if you're setting up with somebody, plan 3 topics. That's what's going to connect with people psychologically. Plan on 3 conversation starters. Plan on 3 or less. You know, that's how people think. So you could have 1, 2, or 3 primary subjects that you're training on. If you start training on more than 1 or 2 or 3 things, or you start talking about the good old days, and you're talking about the whole week, or this whole deal that happened, and then that whole deal that happened, all the other stuff, you're going to lose people's interest. You're going to lose you'll lose their attention span, because they can't retain that amount of information. So while I'm talking about training on training tonight, I'm going to give you 3 things, 3 primary pinpoints on how you can approach a training session. If you're training a group of people, if you're training a group of salespeople or a group of business people, or you're training a room full of people, you're speaking to entire groups, I'm going to give you 3 points. So I'm going to look at, we have a few different comments and people watching. Scarlett, Jason, Tim, my son, Colin, Aaron, thank you guys for tuning in. Missy Day, thank you. Mark Renyard, thanks for checking it out tonight. Kenny Landrum, man, now you know you've made it when Kenny Landrum's checking in and watching for a minute. Tim, thanks for the compliment on the good pointers. So again, thank you for anybody that's tuning in and watching. I'll give you a tip while I'm doing these live videos. Do me a favor, if you have questions or comments or information you want to share, all you got to do, comment down below here, right? If you think the video offers some value, if you feel like I've offered you some value when we're talking about this, share it to your page. Please share it with everybody. For me, this is something that's a lot of fun and exciting, and I want to help make an impact and elevate people, whether it's, motivation or sales training, or sometimes it's just having a conversation. So again, thank you for everybody that's taken the time to tune in and the comments and so forth tonight. So, but this one is really kind of a me speaking to the camera training deal. So like I was saying, number one, talk about things that you're good at, good or better, right? Or get somebody in that knows what they're talking about. Number two, have a plan, right? Line something out, have a syllabus, right? Have a training schedule, have something set up so that it keeps you honest and on track. It keeps your people tuned in and they know what's coming, right? So here's this is my 3-point kind of roadmap to conducting a training session. And I'll kind of pontificate or orate on this for a minute. But the three-part roadmap is this. Number one is you need to tell them what you're going to tell them, right? You've got to have a syllabus. You have to have a plan. So that ties in with my other part is step number one is tell them what you're going to tell them, right? Step number two, then you tell them, right? It may seem simple, right? And when I'm saying them, I'm saying your group of people, your group of salespeople, your group of whomever. So tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell them. And then number three, you tell them what you told them, right? I think, and part of the reason I invited Sean to this, Sean will remember this. This is, 10 years ago, we were coming up with this deal, and it was so much fun. I think we were sitting there writing down on a napkin in the middle of a restaurant how we were going to conduct a training session. Jared's here. We can get started. Hey, Jared, how you doing tonight, man? So it's not Midnights with Mike. It's not just after Jared. I get to go first tonight, right? So as we're talking about training on training, and I'll try not to repeat myself too much more, but since Jared's popping in, I'm going to run through this because we have some other people tuning in here and there. Number one is you need to talk about things that you're good at, or certainly that you're great at, or people would consider you an expert. Number two, then you need to have a plan, right? And going back a second, if you're not the expert, get someone in. Then you have my three points to go after that topic, okay? Yeah, you keep breaking my live stream. The 3 points to get a topic across. Number one is you tell them what you're going to tell them. Number two, then you tell them. Number three, you tell them what you told them. Then, I know I'm going to break my own rule here because I said think in threes. If you want to make sure that somebody's got it, you have them tell you what you told them. Does that make sense? So I'm going to slow down and recap each of these for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it for tonight. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jared, right? He's like the king of this stuff right now. So number one, tell them what you're going to tell them. Why I think that's important? Because people need to know what's coming. They have to have a roadmap. If you're telling them what you're going to tell them, then that's saying, okay, here's my roadmap. Here's my syllabus. Here's my one-liner. Here's my topic for tonight. Right? This is what we're going to talk about so they can be mentally prepared. The trainees, can be mentally prepared to participate in the conversation. You've heard the saying, iron sharpens iron, right? That's the deal. It's the thing is, iron sharpens iron. If salespeople know what's coming at them, if they have an idea of, okay, well, this is what we're going to train on today, they can start to be prepared and be much more of a participant in that training session. So that's why number one, to me, it's important. Tell them what you're going to tell them, right? It's okay. And then you have a plan for however you're going to present that training, however you're going to bring it across to them. Only you as the individual, as the trainer, as the sales manager, as the person sharing that information, you're going to present it in your own manner anyway, right? So you can make it excellent. You can come up with some amazing things that they may not have considered, right? So tell them what you're going to tell them in advance. Step two, then you tell them. This is where you get the opportunity to shine, right? This is where you being prepared coming into the session, when you're telling them, even for tonight, I have a little bit of a plan. A lot of this is unscripted. I have those conversation starters and I go, okay, here's what I'm going to tell them. I told everybody that earlier on Facebook. Now I'm telling them. And then afterwards, that's why I repeat myself, right? You tell them what you told them, right? So as you get through that training session, whether it's a 45-minute sales training or a 45-minute or an hour-long sales meeting or a 4-hour seminar or an 8-hour seminar or a 3-day gig, right? You set it up. You tell people what you're going to tell them for that session. Then number 2, you tell them. You lay out all of that product. You lay out all that knowledge. You drop your knowledge on them, right? You get them all excited about the topic and the information you're sharing with them. Then, as you're wrapping it up, then what you got to do is you got to condense it all the way down, and you tell them what you told them. Hey, look, let me recap. Here's what we just talked about, right? Then the key to people learning, one of the real keys to people learning and mastering a task or a skill is to then, at the tail end, you have them tell you what you told them. Because if they can repeat it, it's one thing, you know, and again, this is not necessarily going out and executing a task. I'm talking about initial training, right? The people that you're training, they have to trust that like Jesus said here, building the connection. They have to trust that you know what the heck you're doing, right? They can't just say, oh, well, hey, I don't know if it's building the connection for my Facebook Live or building the connection with people. I'm going to assume it's with people because that's how I roll, right? But the thing is, they have to trust that you know what the heck you're talking about. If the person or the customer or the salesperson or the group of business people doesn't trust that you know what you're talking about, then it's irrelevant anyway. So, what time is it here? Right now it's 30 minutes in. So for anybody that tuned in this evening, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to tune in to my live, Facebook Live, day 19, which is training on training. Hope you got something out of it. Like I said, those 3 keys are, tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you told them. And then if you want to make sure they've got it, have them tell you what you told them. So just, you know, again, I really appreciate everybody taking the time this evening to tune in and for sharing it. Again, if you have questions, comments, even after the live stream, make sure and comment down below. If you enjoy this type of deal, please, by all means, share it. And hope you got something out of it. And until day 20, and eventually we'll all figure out this internet connection thing because it's so goofy, man, the way it goes in and out. So until tomorrow night, day 20, then I hope you have a great, an absolutely fantastic evening. If you're participating in the live challenge, as I always say, if you're participating in the live challenge, then do great finishing it. I mean, kick butt, take names, do a really good job. Everybody is. It's so much fun. If you haven't gotten on yet, get on it. Do the Facebook Live challenge. You can talk about anything and everything. You can talk about nothing. Right? It's a lot of fun. You can come up with a topic, but you don't have to. Just enjoy it and rock it out there. So until tomorrow for my day 20, I know there's a bunch of other people that I try and tune into. Jared McGreevy, seriously, has some absolutely awesome. If you haven't watched any of his Facebook Lives, tune in and watch the guy on Facebook Live. Jason Gertner, who got me into this deal. There's a whole bunch of people that are participating, but those 2 names especially. Dan Webb, too. Can't forget Dan Webb. He may or may not be on tonight. I don't know if his struggles with Apple. His struggle with Apple was real, right? So anyway, thank you all again for tuning in. Hope you have a fantastic evening. And until day 20, we'll see you then.